Alrighty guys, before we get really far in this video, I just want to say I'm not here to get mad at anybody or make fun of anybody. I'm just pointing out things that I see in the Call of Duty community right now in a very, very small, minute amount of people. But before we jump into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button for more videos like this, more commentary stuff, and let's get right into it. So as we all know now, Treyarch finally did it. They added a playlist in Black Ops 7 that everybody's been begging for and screaming about, kind of. We wanted skill-based matchmaking completely out of Call of Duty, but they added a playlist to test that theory in the Black Ops 7 beta. And honestly, it's hilarious how fast the tone and some people's voices have changed in the Call of Duty community. I'm talking like a very, very small, minute amount of people, not the mass majority, but just a little bit of people. Because I've been playing this open mosh pit since it dropped, and it's the most fun I've had in Call of Duty in years. The pacing, the flow, the way the matches breathe again, like I said, it feels like old school Call of Duty. You can actually experience these maps for what they are instead of running around like a maniac trying to avoid getting pre-aimed by someone with the same exact stats as you. But what's funny is now that it's here, a very small, minute amount of people are realizing something that they weren't ready to admit, and that's maybe they just suck. Now, before you get defensive, hear me out. This playlist doesn't feel easier because it doesn't have skill-based matchmaking. It feels different. It feels like Call of Duty again, and that's what makes it special. You can tell immediately that the flow of the game changes when every lobby isn't a sweat fest built by an algorithm. It's slower, it's smarter, it rewards map awareness, timing, and patience instead of constant slide cancel spam or whatever movement trick that people were abusing until it's needed. So the second you load into open mosh pit, it feels like you're in control again. Not the matchmaking, not some invisible data-driven system watching your KD and making sure you're never gonna win 2 games in a row. You're back in the mix, playing an actual game instead of playing against the spreadsheet. And man, and I gotta say, it's absolutely wild how much that changes my mindset, and it should change yours. You're not walking into matches already stressed out. You're not sitting there thinking, okay, I got a 2.0 KD last game, so now I'm about to get my cheeks clapped. You just play, and it feels so good to just play. But apparently, not everybody's enjoying that freedom, because I've seen people complaining that it still feels sweaty. Which I'm sorry to break it to you, but if you think open mosh pit feels the same as your SBMM lobbies, you might not be as good at Call of Duty as you thought you were, and you might actually need SBMM. That's the truth no one wants to say, because skill-based matchmaking tricked people and made them think they were better than they really were. You'd do decent, the system would boost you up, and then suddenly you're in a match of wannabe CDL players getting stomped, and now you think the game got sweaty. No, you just hit your ceiling. That was the system keeping you comfortable. Now that it's gone in this playlist, there's no more safety net. You're seeing the real skill curve again. Sometimes you stomp, sometimes you get stomped. That's what COD used to be. It's not supposed to be balanced every single match. That's what made it fun. I just remember back in the day, you get into a lobby with one guy absolutely frying everyone, and then you'd spend the next few games trying to beat him. That meant something. You learned, adapted, and got better. You didn't run to Twitter crying about it being unfair or feeling the same. That's what open mosh pit brings back for me. That unpredictability, that feeling that every game should go completely different. And it's crazy how people forgot how fun that is, because COD used to be like this every day. You could feel that random element that made it addicting. That's why people played it all night. Not because they were guaranteed a 1.2 KD, but because every lobby had a different vibe. But somehow, people got used to COD holding their hand. Skill-based matchmaking made sure you always felt competitive, always sweating, but never really improving. It was like being stuck in a purgatory. And open mosh pit has really broke that cycle for me. What blows my mind is seeing a very few amount of people, like I said, complain that this mode is the same way that they complained about skill-based matchmaking. You wanted casual lobbies, you got them, but now that you're getting cooked by someone who actually plays better than you, it's suddenly a problem. Like, not, brother, you cannot have it both ways. This playlist is showing people where they really stand. It's exposing how many players have been actually protected by skill-based matchmaking all these years. You're not supposed to go 40-10 every match. Sometimes you're gonna get humbled. That's normal. I do almost every day when I play. Sometimes I stomp. Sometimes I get stomped, like I said. That's exactly what Call of Duty needs. The skill gap needs to come back, not in movement, not in aim, but in mindset. The mental gap between players who can adapt and players who crumble the second they're not in control. Open mosh pit forces you to learn the game again, to actually think, position, and predict. You can't rely on the system to hand you fair matchups anymore. You have to make your own fun, your own momentum, and that's where COD shines. That's where it has always been at its best. And the maps, brother, they feel so much better in this environment. It's like Treyarch actually designed them to breathe, and you can feel that when there's no skill-based matchmaking. You can actually take routes, play mid-range fights, rotate around objectives without getting insta-fried by 3 clones of yourself. It blows my mind how removing one invisible system makes the entire game feel like it's finally exhaling. I've had moments in this mode that remind me of old school domination from like Black Ops 2 or MW3, the pacing, the randomness, and the just kind of see what happens if I do this time kind of moments. You don't get that in skill-based matchmaking playlists. You get routine, calculated experiences. Every game feels the same because it almost quite literally is the same. And not every lobby's perfect. You'll get smoked sometimes. You'll run into a stack that knows exactly what they're doing, but that's part of the magic. That's why it's fun. There's tension, there's excitement, there's a reason to play multiple matches in a row because you don't know what's coming next. If you jumped into open mosh pit expecting every lobby to be easy and you're mad that you're still dying a lot, maybe that's not a matchmaking problem. Maybe that's a you problem. I'm not trying to be harsh or nothing, but COD's never been an easy game. It just became easier for some people when skill-based matchmaking made sure you were surrounded by equals. Now you're finally seeing what that broader player base looks like, and for a lot of people, it's a wake-up call. What I love about this mode is that it doesn't hide reality. It doesn't coddle you. It gives you a playground and says, go figure it out. And when you do, when you finally do drop a crazy game or pull off a comeback win, that feels earned. It feels like it used to. That's what makes this playlist and this formula of matchmaking so good to me. Not because it's fixing COD necessarily, even though it kind of is, but because it's reminding people of what Call of Duty actually is. It wasn't perfect matchmaking or algorithmic balance. It was chaos, luck, skill, timing, ego, and fun all wrapped together. You were supposed to get stomped. You were supposed to destroy, and sometimes that's what made the memories. The drastic swings one way of destroying and the drastic swings back the other way of getting your ass cheeks clapped. Those matches felt different every single time, and that's exactly what Call of Duty needs. And with this playlist, and hopefully they make this the actual matchmaking of the game, because honestly, if it's not, I'm not playing all year. I refuse to deal with SBMM again. We finally have that again.